Yo, what is going on, guys? Today I wanted to do a video about the devs being laid off from their jobs at H1. Some of them got fired, some of them got laid off. I feel like the majority of it's just people being fired, but they're calling it laid off to make it seem better. Now, this is some old preseason 3 montages. This is really OG gameplay. A lot of people asked for me to use old gameplay, so I decided I would. Now, I also do have a Reddit post here, which I'm going to get into here in a second, but basically, from what I can see, most of the devs got laid off because there's issues with the investor that actually owns Daybreak, or at least, is way up there in the Daybreak, on the totem pole, so to speak. Now, here's what the Reddit post says. This comes from a guy named Royalty, and he's actually been around the H1. He basically has ran the H1Z1 Reddit since, as long as I can remember anyway. He says, so as many of you are confused to as what has transpired the last few days, if the sources are correct, the end of H1 will happen very rapidly. It now makes a great deal of sense as to the timeline of H1 and the extreme lack of continuity. Jason Epstein, I hope I said that right, who's an angel investor, took control of Daybreak from Sony. A simple explanation, he dumps money into the company and doesn't actually have a role within the company. This type of investing is not uncommon. However, normally the angel investors do have connections and ties or interest into what they're acquiring. Now, Mr. Epstein works for Victor Vekselberg. That's the word. A Russian billionaire. Why is that important, you might ask? Well, Daybreak is the perfect company to invest in. Video games face almost zero regulation and can be almost impossible to track true revenue generation. Daybreak has been used as a way to shift money into the global economy. The ownership of Daybreak never cared about the game Daybreak supports. It cared about the money it could float through the company. This is very important and points to why the total incompetence the studio has shown since it was purchased and has been acceptable. You all may not want to hear this, but the staff at Daybreak is so terrible. It's why they have failed so many times, time in and time out. These people never actually had to be good at their jobs. This game has been in early access for 3 years, and overall since late 2016 has made almost zero major changes to the game. And I'm not referring to the things the community refers to as major changes. The only thing that has been tweaked are the values and the minimal aesthetic differences. Completely agree with the dude for the fact right there, just to point that out. The place was just full of pure amateur, untalented people. If Daybreak was able to be moved out of Columbus and Nova portfolio before the sanctions were imposed, the studio could possibly be sold. If the studio is sold, which to me seems to have a 50-50 shot at happening, the servers will at least stay open. The chances the studio is sold and a new development team is brought in is next to none. If Daybreak is still in a frozen portfolio, it will be one of the first companies sold. And I don't think many of you realize how big of a deal this is. Now, he goes on down to say, since I've gotten PMs asking how Daybreak could be washing money, I'll explain it here. Daybreak has its own currency. In order to open cases, you have to purchase crowns. I'm not 100% sure how the Twitch system works, as I've never purchased crates through it. The majority of the time, you have to purchase crowns to unlock crates. Daybreak has the perfect enclosed system. Dirty money can be transferred into the crowns. What about the influx of skins? The crowns don't need to be redeemed for one. If they are redeemed, the counts can be just holding the skins. Or better yet, the skins could just be scrapped. That's just one way it can be done. The amount of digital purchases also can be manipulated. Do I think a single Daybreak employee has ever done anything or had anything to do with the Columbus Nova could be doing to wash money? No. As I said in a different comment, the purpose of Daybreak itself is to be a legitimate business. So he's basically saying that this Russian dude bought Daybreak just as a money launderer to get a lot of money out of it, which he very successfully done because from what I've seen, I think they sold about 10 million copies of the game. I've seen that in multiple different websites. There's no way to track it now, but I've seen in a lot of different places that they did sell around 10 million copies, which is kind of crazy to me because, we've never peaked over 150K players. But I could see it being a thing, so, I mean, if the man sold that many copies before it went from being $10 to free-to-play, that's a lot of money. But then there's always the 100 crate bundles, the $100 crate bundles, and all that bullshit. And everybody buys those, they buy them like hotcakes. Me, personally, I've never bought crates, but everybody that I know a lot of people in the community, and I know a lot of people buy the crates, so that's a lot of money coming in, too. Daybreak has made a ton of money. And it actually, would not be a big deal at all for them to just shut down. Like, they don't give a shit. The money's been done. the servers could shut down at any moment at this point. Like it could just end. And I would really hate to see that. Like that would be, you know, that would be really sad to see happen. But also, if you look at it on the plus side, which I've seen from some people talking about how Amazon could possibly buy out Daybreak, and then they would, you know, make start working on H1. But then there's also the rumors of an MMO buying it to make the do the MMO side of Daybreak games. You know, they own Planet Side 2 and shit like that. So there's a lot of different ways the game could go, but I don't really see like a major company buying it and being like, okay, we can make H1Z1 good, because H1Z1 is known for being a shitty game, and everybody has a bad opinion on it, and nobody would want to take on that responsibility of having a shitty game that went from a 150k player peak to like a 6k player peak within a couple months time. Like nobody will, you know, invest into that. Obviously that's a bad investment. Now my boy T-Hump actually tweeted, imagine waiting for Z1 for 6 months after being told it was closer than expected, anticipating every dev update, getting horny over every Z1 picture, reminiscing about how much fun he used to have on Z1, then the company shutting down the servers and it never being touched. That could be what we would see. That literally could be what we could see. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on really quick is Bronsta HD, as one of the main devs of H1Z1. He is one of the people that got laid off. Now he actually tweeted, yep, done. Can check one off forever. And it's H1Z1, done, check that off. It's a picture of it on his calendar. So people are asking different questions. You know, the devs have been really transparent now because they're not under any kind of contract. They're not, you know, they don't have to say anything to us specifically, because like back when you would ask something, they really couldn't answer it to a certain extent because they're, you know, under NDAs, all that good stuff. So they really can't tell us, just be completely honest with us. Now, actually, someone asked him, anything you wish that you had done different while you were there? Good luck in the future, though. And he says, yeah, I wish I would have fought harder against the combat update. That one will go down in infamy. And somebody actually said, how many people were against it that you know of? You know, a lot. He didn't answer that, obviously. You know, there's only certain things he'll answer, even though he is, you know, allowed to answer a lot more. He still won't answer that. But I thought it was really funny that he said the biggest thing he was against was the combat update that ultimately killed the game. He said that he wished he would have fought harder against it, and I would like for him to answer and tell how many people were against it, because you know, there's only so many things they can do even if they're against it. Because if the dude, the Russian guy, or one of them up there that's above them says that it has to be done, then it has to be done. So they really couldn't do anything. You know, people give the devs shit and stuff, but the bottom line is most of them, you know, they could only do so much for us because of the higher powers over them. But I thought it was funny that he said he wished he would have fought harder against the combat update. You know, please go leave a like and a comment on this video if you want to, you know, talk about the things that I missed, the things you think that'll happen. You know, it is odd that they just announced the PS4 release, and now we have all this stuff going down, you know, all the different things happening. So, you know, I just wanted to talk about it. It is sad to see, but I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.